homeless. What are you going to do? Huh? What are you going to do, you homeless a little dog? Even going? Yep, it's going. Okay, we're up. We're up, monkey butt. Yes, the homeless dog who's homeless because the cat keeps stealing her bed. It's just sad times. It's just sad times, little buddy. Well, everyone, it's Monday. It's the first full trading week of the year. And here we are. Chilling out, having ourselves a time. Not too much to update. I had a phone conversation with Rosa on Saturday. She was kind of spitballing about her response to the response that FINRA filed, which was so I think she's gonna hit it out of the park. She knows what she's doing. She's got this. Also, some folks in the brokerage accounts turned on share lending, meaning the brokers can lend their shares out and they get a small, interest payment to their account for it. And they're noticing almost immediately their nextbridge shares were lent out. Now, who would be borrowing nextbridge shares when there's no market? Why? What type of weirdness results in that? It's it seems pretty counterproductive to like borrow shares that you can't sell, therefore you cannot short. So that's proving right now that there are shorts out there for the stock. The fact that people's shares are being borrowed. That seems like more than enough evidence to show that there's shenanigans going on. Chicanery, hijinks, horsing around. So, And off. There we go. Okay. It's off. We're setting a new record. We're going 12 shows. It's going to happen. All right. So I did a cursory glance at the first couple of questions here, and it seems very much like people want to talk space today. I'm okay with it because I don't have much news otherwise. So let's talk space. Okay. Oh, Danny Motes also asks, Houston, do you trust accounting apps for taxes when it comes to trades for 2022, or should I go to a tax expert? I mean, I just use H&R Block online to do mine. I didn't make a gajillion dollars this year, so I'm not really going to employ somebody to, figure all the loopholes for me this time around. But, if you're concerned, then I'd have a pro do it. That's just the way it'd go. Okay. All right. Mr. Lasuna, Houston, what do you think the universe is expanding into? Is it getting faster or slower? And is it right to say that the observable universe doesn't relate specifically to an edge? It's expanding into a void. That's the best way that we can say. It's just there's nothingness out there and some universe is spilling into it. It is getting faster. That's what Alexei Filipenko and his team discovered when they discovered dark energy. Is that the universe initially exploded, boom, into existence. There was a big inflation at first, and then everything started gradually slowing down until about 6 billion years ago, when suddenly everything started speeding up again. And that is dark energy now being more powerful than the force of gravity trying to pull everything back together. And my undergraduate thesis was on the what could be the cause of that dark energy. And I settled on the random appearance and disappearance of matter and antimatter that happens everywhere, all the time, all around us. And when matter and antimatter blink into existence, they collide, disappear again, but leave behind a gamma ray photon. And those photons go out in all sorts of different directions. And eventually they create these planar waves, sort of like solar sails, that at great enough distances now account for more outward pressure than inward pressure of gravitational pull between large galaxy clusters. So the universe is speeding up because there's more power pushing out than there is power pulling in. And yes, the observable universe does not relate specifically to an edge. What we see at the observable universe is one of two things. One, the fuzz of the Big Bang. So the microwave background radiation, or background microwave radiation, whatever I want to say it. And that is just the noise from when matter first started to appear after the Big Bang. And if you look far enough back in time, in any direction, you see that fuzz. And it's just this static. Like you turn on old school TV and goes, you get the salt and pepper snow. You're looking at the Big Bang, essentially. So that is sort of this veil that we can't pierce. And it also happens to be around the point of the beginning of the universe when we didn't really have stars or galaxies or anything else. So the first little red things we see forming are these proto-galaxies, these energetic quasars where the galaxies are forming and stars are being born, and there's a lot of energy coming out of them. But because the universe is expanding and those things are receding away from us, the Doppler effect takes what would have been a really intense light that would have been an X-ray and ultraviolet and everything, and has redshifted it into this like really faded, kind of color of my shirt, little dots out in the distance. And at some point, we will get to where the universe is old enough and everything's expanding away so fast that it just disappears from view, and we just can't see it anymore. We might not even see the cosmic microwave background radiation at some point because it may fade away into nothing as it expands away from us. So that's kind of everything. Just kind of gets hazy out there and disappears. What we have is what was called a light cone. So if time 0, when the universe began, is at the bottom, there's this cone that comes up, and we are at the top of the cone. Anything outside of that is expanding way faster than the speed of light. So we can only see this one little conical section of the sphere that is the universe. And we've tried to calculate how big that sphere is. There's a lot of error involved, but we might only be able to see about 15% of the visible universe. The rest of it is other conical sections that we cannot see. So that's the best guess we got. One of the reasons why I went into astronomy was there's so much error built into every calculation. As long as you're within order of magnitude or something, you're fine. Way easier to do the math. Okay. Scott Paulin, I can't read. Houston, I was reading about the satellite time issues that Artemis missions pose to other astronomical research projects, mainly satellite time for data transfer. Have you heard about this? Well, there's a couple of things. Artemis is the far side of the moon at side points, which makes it, I think, several seconds delay. So there's problems with delay and transfer and trying to relay information, especially if it's on the dark side. It disappears because it's not in the line of sight of anything on the Earth. So I think what they want to do is they want to put sort of moon synchronous satellites that are visible to the dark side of the moon as well as the Earth's surface, so that we can relay information anytime we need. And because the Earth rotates, right, you need to have satellite stations all over the world so that at any time, whatever side happens to be facing the moon at that time can receive information. So NASA has setups in like Australia and Europe and things, so that they can get data transfers when North America itself cannot see what's going on with the moon. And all those systems are used for other projects, stuff that's on Mars, stuff that's probes that are going on the deep space, things like that. So, yeah. The article said that the 3 radio telescopes we used for talking with Hubble and JWST were paused so Artemis could have 24-hour comms during mission. If we pick up the launch cadence to the moon, will NASA build more radio telescopes on Earth, or do you think they will launch some radio telescopes to low Earth orbit? Your thoughts? I mean, we can use sort of radio dishes in low Earth orbit as we would communication satellites, but because radio waves don't get blocked by our atmosphere and they reach the Earth's surface just fine, it's much cheaper to build large radio dishes on the Earth's surface than it is to try and launch them into space. The whole reason we put JWST up there, James Webb Space Telescope, is because we don't see infrared very well. The carbon dioxide in our atmosphere blocks a lot of infrared light. You have to have these things at really high altitude to even get a little bit of infrared light from outer space. So you want to have a space telescope that looks in infrared, space telescopes that look in ultraviolet, space telescopes that look in gamma or X-rays, because our atmosphere blocks most of that. And thank God, because we'd be toast if it let in all the gamma rays. So like the Chandrasekhar telescope does X-rays and does some really beautiful pictures in X-ray up in space of objects. Probably the prettiest calendar I've seen is the Chandrasekhar calendar that Harvard pumps out each year. Oh, and there goes the reset already. Come on, man. Tyler Parsons, we keep hearing it's illegal to have short positions on private company, but now that it's the case, who enforces it? When does it get enforced? What is the penalty? Feels like nothing's happening. That's the big thing, is that we have to initiate the drive to do these things. Remember, someone at the SEC for like a decade was saying, hey, Bernie Madoff has a Ponzi scheme. He's not doing any trades. He's listing all these trades that he's doing. He's not actually like trading anything, and he doesn't own anything. We might want to look into this. And for years and years and years and years, no one did anything about it until the Ponzi scheme finally failed. Now, if there had been investors in Bernie Madoff made aware of this, and they were knocking on the doors of senators and congressmen about, hey, look into this, do something for me, then maybe something would have been done sooner. But it took the absolute collapse of the Ponzi scheme for anything to happen. And we need to be much more proactive and remain that way for a very long period of time to bug these people. And it's I think it's starting to work. We have some Congress people who are getting back to folks in the movement saying, hey, I'm going to look into this. I just got contacted by someone from CNN about talking about this with them. So, we're getting out there. We're going to get the news out there. The big problem is that it's not really easy to put into, a 700-word article in the New York Times. It takes a much larger format to explain how this all works to people. And we got to figure out ways to kind of put it into sound bites. They're counterfeiting shares. They're making shares up and selling them to the market, and people are buying them unwittingly. Boom. That could be the basis for the entire argument that's happening. We have dove so deep over the last 2 years into how these FTDs form, how they get hidden, how they get moved around, how they, make up fake deep out of the money puts and calls for pretending like they're able to cover. And we're gonna see some weird stuff happen after the 20th, when those like 50-cent puts on GME vanish. Like, how are they going to spend the money to pretend like they can cover these positions? We have to do a better job. I mean, not everyone can sit down for 2 hours and listen to me yik yak about something. And a lot of people just go and tune out, which is why I don't have like 55 million subscribers on YouTube, is because we're a long-winded bunch. It takes a long time to describe what's going on, and we got to do it over and over because humans don't quite absorb everything the first time. You talk about it, they go, okay, totally cool. And then their brain just deletes it. And a week later, you talk about it again. They go, oh, yeah, cool. And like 2 things stick, and the brain deletes everything else. And a week later, you talk about it again. And you just do that over and over and over until finally, for a large portion of humanity, it sticks well enough that they can pretty much understand it, and they can go from there. and not everyone is the best at translating that jargon that some bro on a trading floor would understand into language that the average person can go, oh, all right, okay, I'm picking up what you're laying down. So that's a big part of it, is we have to be able to describe it to those who would be doing the enforcing, like members of Congress. We have to make sure there's a record available, because let's say we complain to the SEC, we complain to FINRA, we complain to Congress, all these things, and 10 years down the line, something finally happens, right? Where there's a big collapse, and then someone goes, hey, these 65,000 shareholders of this weird nextbridge stock, they were onto this ahead of everybody else. All these GME guys were onto this ahead of, and no one was listening. There's a complete failure in how we regulate, and these people were waving their hands and screaming the entire time, and we ignored them. And maybe we should change how we regulate these things and perhaps adopt methods that can listen to these folks and follow through. Not everything happens at once. Not everyone wants to take on our burden, right? We're 65,000 people going, hey, something's going wrong. But we do need a champion inside of that regulatory body to go, you know what? Something is going wrong, and I'm going to do something about it. And finding that person, that bureaucrat, that elected official to actually follow through and take on our cause is hard. And it's going to take us being really loud, really annoying, and really relentless. So be those things. Get out there. Talk people's ears off. Be annoying as heck. Meow meow. Tell us again how Stanley Kubrick faked the moon landing. Let's fight. MM. If trading never happens again, will the need to raise liquidity make our nextbridge shares plummet? Also, mod card, please. Oh, yeah. How do I? Oh, wrong one. Got to go down here. Got to go there. There we go. Okay. Okay. Trade never happens again. Will the need to raise liquidity make our nextbridge shares plummet? I don't know, because right now they don't need to raise anything. They've got a loan from one of the large investors. Is that dude's name Martin or something? Starts with an M, right, Monkey? The guy that owned the other half of the oil field. He gave like $20 million so we can continue drilling. And there's been no pressure to get that paid back. Acme Parent Company did the same thing to make sure that oil wells could be drilled to maintain the leases. So there's no need at the moment to raise cash. I think if I were these guys, I think the big thing to do would be to sell. Just sell the oil fields to someone big for an incredible amount of money. Count your dollar bills and move on. That would absolutely destroy shorts, because we're talking, tens or hundreds of dollars for hundreds of millions or billions of shares that they're responsible for. And that kind of money does not come quickly. That will hurt. It won't hurt as much as forcing them to close in the open market, which would be much more delicious. I would much rather see what kind of cash I can get for my shares in a market. But I don't think nextbridge at the moment is pressed too hard to have to raise cash. They're okay for at least a year, maybe two, before they'll have to raise cash. McCabe, thank you, McCabe. There's like 85 people saying McCabe. I knew it started with an M. McCabe. What would I do without you folks yelling the answer at me 55 times? Okay. Where was I? I accidentally scrolled down too far and lost my place. Skittlefarts. Houston, worst case scenario. Rose's injunction gets denied in Florida. What's next for Acme? At what point do international investors, brokers get involved? I mean, if the judge does deny her motion, which, you know, I mean, it's within their own possibility, but I think she raises enough questions that any judge worth their salt is going to be like, you know what? I find this really interesting. Let's see where it goes. Grant motion. Let's see where these cards fall. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that there are shorts existing on the stock, and that let's sort of frame why you can't have short positions on private companies. One, you can't sell the stock, so you can't short it. Period. So how are you going to borrow shares to sell if you can't sell it? Therefore, you cannot physically short it. How can you borrow it? Plus, there's no QSIP, so how are you going to transfer the stuff around? Are you literally bicycling paper shares back and forth with couriers? Two, you can't naked short it. Why? Because naked shorting involves, according to Reg Show, you have to identify purchasable shares that you could potentially purchase later to cover your position. If there's no market, there are no shares you can purchase. So you can't short a private company. Period. There is some language about companies that may have an IPO and folks getting access to shares ahead of that IPO. You know, might have an underwriter, like Solomon Smith Barney or something is an underwriter for an IPO. They may have some shares available, and they may actually short if they don't actually believe in the company that they're underwriting. And that is a little sketchy, a little different. But in this case, there's no underwriter for an IPO. There's just the current shareholders, and you shouldn't be able to short this stuff. I think Rosa is going to be able to make a really great case, a really great argument showing that because the S1 promises one NextBridge share for every share of MMTLP, so you got this 1-for-1 in there, right? That because there are hundreds of millions, if not billions, of these fake shares that have been sold and traded, and people think they own the real thing, and because they paid money for that real thing, they cannot get that 1-for-1. It might be 3-to-1 or 4-to-1, right? There might be 3 fake shares for every 1 real share. How are you going to make sure that real share goes to all 3 people? You can't. And if you can't guarantee that, then a fraud was committed. And there's no way to rectify that fraud without forcing the closure of those 3 fake positions. And you can't force that closure without there being a market of some kind. Whether it's opening the market up for 2 days and telling FINRA, hey, FINRA, the market's going to open for 2 days on this. You tell those brokers to make a common QSIP for all these NextBridge shares, and tell the brokers they have to force close short positions, every last one of them in those 2 days. Or there might be a negotiation of, hey, there's a settlement deal of X number of dollars, and the first 300 million of you to agree to it gets that money. The rest of you move on to NextBridge. It could also be the gray market, which, I hope it's not the gray market. The gray market is going to be super sketchy because they'll come to you and they'll say, hey, we need your shares. What's it going to take to get you out of those shares today? And people will be like, $5,000 a share. And they'll be like, no, how about $5 a share? And you're going to tell them to go get fucked. And they're going to be like, okay, like $10 a share. I'm like, no, 5,000. I'll make it 10,000 actually. And they go, I'm going to call someone else. And they're going to call someone else. And they might get somebody who's like, you know what? Yeah, take my $5. And they get a few shares here and there. But for the most of us, we want to squeeze blood from this thing. We want pain and suffering. We want them to hurt and to have it hurt so bad they lose the taste for ever doing it again. Right? The once bitten, twice shy thing. Like, make it so painful that for these brokers and their hedge funds and everyone else, that they never want to touch a naked share ever again. Make it absolutely just so awful. It reminds me of when I was a little kid. My dad lived in Japan. We'd go out and like spend the summer over there. And just up the hill from us was a hotel. And on top of the hotel, there was like a Boeing 707 passenger jet on top of this hotel up the hill from our apartment, and it was a nightclub. It was a nightclub owned by the Yakuza, and I was like totally fascinated with the Yakuza because in your brain think like Japanese gangsters, ninjas, samurai, whatever, just dragon tattoos and things like that. And I was asking my dad like what are the crimes the Yakuza do? And he's like, oh, they'll run pachinko parlors, or they'll rob them, and they do like smuggling and drugs and things like that. And I was like, so like, do they shoot people? And he's like, oh God, no. Committing a crime with a gun in Japan is so awful that not even the Yakuza will touch a gun. They're like, I'm out. Just because getting picked up with one can result in like a 30-year prison sentence. And, whatever crime you commit, you're just not going to use that. You'll cut people's fingers off. You'll hit them with a car. Do whatever you want. You just will not. The Yakuza will not touch a gun, and because the pain of that is so great that even like one of the strongest organized crime families in the world are like, yeah, we're not going to bother with that. I want that type of pain felt for short sellers. I want them to be so leery of naked shorting something, of generating FTD, because the potential payout for the unlimited liability they've taken on is so great that they really have to like really sit and think and ponder and sit there with their thoughts. So if it does go to the gray market, be cruel, negotiate for yourself. I'm going to be asking for an absolute ton, and maybe they'll follow through, maybe they won't, but at any rate, I'm hoping everyone does. Okay. J-Dog, don't forget to put $2 on Power or Mega tickets. Isn't Mega Millions at like $1 billion right now? So I'd have to make a grocery store run tonight, Monkey. Maybe we'll go buy ourselves a ticket and spend our half an hour of what we do with our $1 billion. Which right now I think in the end it comes out to be like $200 million after taxes. But whatever, it's more than I have now. We can definitely afford a 4-wheel drive RV, Monkey. So that 4-wheel RV freedom, that's what we're going for. Austin Island, I'm going to bet at the beginning of the show, Chalupa Batman dominates the Ottoman while Monkey Butt plots the cat's demise. The cat is just, oh yeah, Kitty. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're on the floor. You're a floor dog. You got this tiny little cat who's so comfortable taking up the entire ottoman. Oh, he loves it. Yes. And there you are. You're on the floor like a loser. Oh. What's that? What's that? I wish you guys could see. Look, I don't think I can get... I can't... Oh, there we go. There's Monkey just staring. Look at those little eyeballs. Just staring. Oh, resignation. Back to the cat. Back to the... It's the Chalupa cam. That's what we're dealing with today. Little thing about the Chalupa cam is that the cat is all black and you can he can't make out anything other than just a circle. You are a circle, kitty. That's what you are. You're just a little circle. You are Night. He is the Night Man. Okay. Curious investor Houston had birthday. Have you heard any news about Sears by chance? Nothing new at the moment. Normally someone sends me something when news coming out, but I have heard nothing. Nothing since before Christmas. Maria Garcia, Houston, does Rosa have to do a rebuttal for FINRA's answer? She doesn't, but it's a good thing to do. Usually, you submit a complaint, the other side will submit an answer, you can submit a response to that answer, and so on. And you can submit memoranda and motions, and all sorts of things along the way. And, the judge will read it. I don't think she needs to do another 200-page one. Their answer hinged on just a couple of things. One, claiming that they've got immunity to any and all lawsuits when they don't. They have immunity to monetary damages. Two, they're claiming that what they did was in the interest of the market, and I think Rosa can easily show that what they did screwed things up and caused harm, and was not in the best interest of the market or the people involved, the investors involved. Uh, and three, they really ignored the the concept of short selling. This is a private company now, and that there should not be short positions on this private company, and that there are, and the existence of those short positions means investors are harmed because they actually can't get their shares they were promised. That 1-for-1 they were promised, they can't get it. So I think she can show that when they claim that they were looking out for investors because the settlement can't happen. We won't be able to settle things, and people won't get their shares. They're not getting their shares now, dude, because you never closed the positions you should have been telling people to close. Your corporate action should have said, "Hey, you have to close everything. Any short position you have must be closed, and brokers, you are going to force close those positions." That's what the corporate action should have said. And they had months to get ready. They had weeks after the S1 was approved, and they didn't do it, and they didn't do it, and they didn't do it, and they didn't do it. And when they did it, they panicked a day later and went, "We're taking it all back. Stop trading. Ah, the extraordinary event. Oh no. Ah." No, you didn't protect us at all. You didn't protect us in any way, shape, or form. So she'll be able to reiterate that stuff in a much better, concise method than I possibly can. And I'm looking forward to reading what she sends them. I'll be out this week. She was saying that she's going to try and get that through this week, and then she's got her vacation she's planned with friends that she's been planning for a year, and she's going to go do that. So, yeah. Steve Hagen, Houston. Why would a company going private be shorted like there was no end? What? Share what Clearlist LLC is, and then look at who owns them. Share Clearlist LLC. Clearlist, private company established specifications surrounding how their securities are traded. I don't know who these guys are. Driving a new age. Let's go to the clickety clack. Come on. Don't click. Double click. Go there. Go there. Go there. Come on. I need to recharge my mouse. It feels like it's dying. Equities marketplace for private companies. Clearly establishes real-time, transparent price discovery based on actual investor sentiment. Our secondary trading platform helps to build the foundation for potential entry into the public market. So this is like the OTC's OTC. That's what it sounds like. So, got some companies on there. Powering private companies, enhancing investor access, the clear price, real-time, fair value, securities traded, clear list transmitted to qualified investors, clear list ability to display the best prices to investors. Okay. Meet the team. We've got Patrick Murphy. We've got Nina Sengliocha. Whitney White. A dude named Whitney. Okay. Bert McCooey. Risk disclosure terms of use. Did you remember FINRA and SIPC? How do I figure out this is the team, but you can't click on any of their names. Do you have an about in here? Got a request access, got empowering private companies, got a clear price. There's nothing I can click on. There's a contact us. They have a LinkedIn page. They have 9 employees. Okay. And that's their entire page. They got 2 posts in there. All right. So I don't know. I don't know who owns this. Who does own this, Steve Hagen? Because I can't see it. Yeah. and look who owns them. I wonder if I put Patrick Murphy in here and I can figure out. Let's go. Patrick Murphy. Come on. LinkedIn. Okay, who have you come from? Patrick Murphy, ClearList, partner at GTS. Well, there you go. GTS, where have we heard that name? Could it be the specific company, the market maker that got the MMTLP shares to start trading against the wishes of the company? That's interesting. Was at Barclays, JP Morgan, and Bear Stearns before that. I wonder why he left Bear Stearns in 2008. Weird. That tells you right off the bat. Who was the other one? Let's look at Nina Sagliocha. Come on. Oh, come on. Highlight and then stay highlighted. There we go. Copy that. I'll go here. Let's go there. Okay. Chief Operating Officer from her LinkedIn. She experience ClearList GTS. She's been at GTS as well. Also Bank of America. And Citibank. Okay, so we got another GTS person. Okay, Whitney White. Let me guess where you might be from. Come on, highlight, you little stinky butt face. Urgh! Come on, quit. There we go. Okay. Bam, 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 bam. Whitney White, Chief Operating Officer. Okay, he's Brassica Financial. Brassica. He's at ClearList. Shift Pixie. Prime Trust. Equity Partners, Managing Director. Okay, so he's on some other sides of financial world. And Bert McCooey. Bert. Bert McCooey. GTS. VP of Corporate Relations, GTS. Interesting, Steve Gaghagen. Excellent, point that out. You did make me do a lot of hoops to get there, but interesting. GTS. Ari Rubenstein's big old thumbprint is all over this sucker, isn't it? I wonder who's going to be doing the gray market sales. I wonder if they're going to be the ones trying to get it done. Stroke the beard. QuietQuest, settlement or open market is more realistic for MMTLP nextbridge. Honestly, I think it comes down to what a judge rules. Federal judge may have a lot of leeway in how he makes an order. I'm sure that if he makes an order that goes against FINRA, they will definitely try to appeal. And they'll hope that they get somebody. Is Florida 10th District or 11th District? I can't remember which district, which Court of Appeals it is. I might be totally wrong about whatever. My guess is that if it rules against FINRA will try to appeal. But that appeal may try to force a stay of some kind. Like, hey, you can't go through with the order from this judge. That may or may not work. The judge may be able to write it in such a way that's like, all right, you have to get this done by Thursday. And if it isn't done, there's issues. And FINRA may not be able to get their act together in time to make that happen. So they'll have to follow through on whatever the court order is. And in the court order, it could be weak. It could be like 2 more days of trading. That's it. And there's no specifics to it. Or it could be very strong saying, look, it appears that there's short still in this private company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell FINRA, you have to do 2 more days of trading. And it's going to be on this date and this date. And in those 2 days, you are to tell every one of your brokers, all your members, that they must force close any and all short positions in those 2 days. And when those 2 days are up, I'm going to ask for an accounting of how many shares each brokerage has. We're going to tally them up. And if there are still short positions, there's going to be hell to pay. We could do a fine of $100,000 for every short share there is, $1 million, whatever. And to make it so punitive and awful that they're going to want to go through with it. So, that it depends on how the ruling comes. It could be completely catered fantastic to exactly what you need, or it could be really vague. And FINRA goes, all right, 2 more days of trading someday in the future. I don't know. And settlement could be negotiated by the government. The SEC could come in and say, like, this looks like a mess. We're gonna have to deal with all this crap. We're gonna do a settlement of X amount of dollars per share, and we calculated this many naked shares. So the first 300 million who agree to this price, they're out. And then everyone else who stays, they move on with NextBridge, and we're just over it. So that's something that could also happen. I think everyone's before they move on to a settlement or anything, they'll probably wait to see what the judge in Florida says, and in any other cases that are being brought forward. So. Yeah. Okay, where was I? Jason Blackwell, hey Houston, why did 50 Cent thank the sidewalk in his award speech? It kept him off the streets. Jason, there's a little room in hell specifically for you. All right, Sad Boy Houston up 9% this year from selling cover calls on Jamie. It's only been a week. You're up 9% already? I'd watch out for those cover calls coming around the 20th and after, because when those shorts lose their deep out of the money puts and calls when they expire on the 20th, some weird things might happen. So be careful. That's my warning. Be careful with that stuff with GME coming after the 20th. Same name as last live stream. His same name as last live stream. What the heck? What the heck? Ah! Did I not click properly? Oh, you son of a biscuit. 1 second. 1 second. I'm upset. This. Gotta go there. Gotta go there. Gotta go YouTube Studio. Sometimes I hit the wrong button and it does not. I go there. Go to live. Okay. Oh, you stinker. I can't even. Why did it do that? Okay, it should be 247. I think I made the title something like Shorts Are Still Borrowing. And the description should be folks experimented and turned on share lending and found their NextBridge shares were immediately borrowed. Shady. There we go. Okay. Save that. All right. Weird. I don't know why that happened. Sorry. You know me. I can't get through anything without having a technical goof whatsoever. Daphne, happy first trading Monday of the year. Here it was. Legacy 10 Productions, in your opinion, how revolutionary is the introduction of ChatGPT? Where does it go from here? I think it's cool. I think it's a novelty still at the moment. The chat is very willing to lie. It will gladly make things up for you. You can ask it a tough question about something technical that doesn't exist, and they will come up with any potential answer. Oh, dude, monkey, what are you doing, man? You were outside for like an hour today. Oh, I'm talking to you. That was brutal. Why didn't you go deal with that earlier? Just come on. Just lifting your tail, just doing that. It's a small room, monkey. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, ChatGPT. Well, ChatGPT can't dog fart like monkey butt. But what they can do is they can just pull stuff out of its AI butt and just make things up, which will cause some issues. I have no doubt that people will ask ChatGPT to write scientific articles, and will write scientific articles with evidence and all sorts of stuff involved, and then they'll submit to journals just to mess with people and see if they can get approved. And then some of them probably will get approved. They'll make up authors. They'll do all sorts of weird things. But it is a step closer to these AI programs passing the Turing test, blurring the lines between what is human and what isn't. I'll be interested to see if it can write like compelling stories. Like, hey, Chat GPT, I need you to write me a spy novel about a merchant marine who discovers a Soviet plot in the 80s and see what it does. I'll be very curious to see if like you read it and you go, all right, this is really, I'm into this. Or if you read it and you're like, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. But those steps along the way will happen. I'm sure that like deep fakes and everything else, it'll be used to generate all sorts of fake news and nefarious things. I don't think it will be used for good as much as it will be used for I won't say vandalism, but nefarious means, right? There are good uses for things, but most people who are going to play with it, I think, you have nerds and bad actors that play with it. Andrew Stewart, FINRA can piss up a rope. By all means, sure. Lee wants to know, so are we going to be forced into paying for the nextbridge shares transfer? We shouldn't be. I think if you raise a stink with your broker, you call them, say, hey, I want to transfer, and say, oh, it's going to cost this much. Be like, well, actually, here's evidence showing that AST doesn't charge for a transfer. So just transfer it. You might get them to go, all right, fine. Someone posted last night that they did that to TD, and TD agreed to not charge them. And TD was the one that was going to charge $500 per share, not $500 for all your shares. If you got 1,000 shares, you're going to owe us $500,000 to transfer those over. And he complained to them saying the ASC does not charge for this service. And they relented and said they'd send him an email confirming that, and they never sent an email confirming that. So, Coffee and Donuts, Bed Bath & Beyond traded $88 million out of a $78 million share float. Yeah, that's what happens. Because 95% of those shares that were traded aren't real. Steve Gaggins telling Daphne it's nice to hear your voices on Spaces. If you guys don't know, Daphne is an incredible artist. She has some just fantastic paintings she's done. And yeah, so if you check out her Instagram, you'll see some amazing works of art. And even Rosa was like, these are incredible. And Daphne was offering to sell some to raise legal funds if Rosa needs it. But like Steve is a great artist too, so we got some artists in here. I am not an artist. I am the worst artist to have ever taught an art school, probably in history, because I taught their math and science classes. Coffee, Donuts, and Homer looking forward to quarterly Bed Bath & Beyond report tomorrow. I'm sure it's going to be a bloodbath on that Bed Bath & Beyond report. Because, I mean, the revenue will be down like 20%. They got huge payments on their mortgages, the loans that they took out, the bonds they took out. And I mean, they're gonna have to announce something later, whether they're selling Baby or something. But it's a downward spiral. What I think that report's gonna be. Latre Pope. So what happens if no one registers shares? What's the big deal if shares have been equal before distribution, so eventually come out, right? Does that have not equal before distribution? This is just an O there. I don't know what word that's supposed to be. I mean, if people are able to register, then they're able to take the real shares out of the brokers, and anyone who's left will be like, hey, you guys said I was going to get shares. Where are they? And the brokers will be like, oh, it's coming. I promise. And they aren't going to have anything for them. Right now, the brokers aren't really motivated to do anything because the value of these shares is zero. Nextbridge has not announced what they value each share at. So therefore, they're not really concerning themselves with any of it because like 0 is 0, who cares? You're just whining about a stock that's 0. And that's that. Meow meow. Any chance Adam Aaron intends to destroy AMC for his buddies? If he's not doing it on purpose, he's doing a hell of a job at it on accident. The first rule of dealing with anyone is that if a mistake ends up making them money, expect them to make that mistake over and over and over. So if your CEO is constantly selling shares at below market via dark pools directly to short hedge funds, and it makes him money, and you tell him, hey man, stop doing that, and he goes, got it, never do it again, and then he does it like 5 more times, he's doing it for a reason. We saw last week 58 million ape shares pop up on Ortex available to be borrowed. This is after, the borrowing available was in the tens or hundreds of thousands, and, all of a sudden 60 million shares show up. Who just bought 60 million shares? Antera? And someone on Reddit showed that Antera had a published short position on AMC. So yes, they're a holder of AMC bonds, and they hedged it by shorting AMC, right? Well, if they can't pay their bonds off, then at least they'll make a bunch of money shorting their stock. That's how you hedge. So he's selling directly to short sellers, allowing them to cover their short position, and they can make money off both sides. You don't stop short selling of your company by rewarding the short sellers. It reminds me of I was a kid. I was probably, I don't know, maybe 10 years old, 11 years old. And I was at Pay and Save, which at the time was a local drugstore chain that got bought by Rite Aid. And I'm with my mom. We're in line, and there's this other mom and this 2-year-old in front of us. We're in the aisle, and there's the impulse aisle. You got candy and magazines and National Enquirer and stuff. And the 2-year-old, she grabs this Twix bar off the thing and starts opening it and eating it while her mom's paying. Mom goes, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." And she grabs the Twix bar from the kid, gives it to the checker, "We'll pay for it." The checker goes, boop, pays for it. And then she just gives it back to the 2-year-old, start chomping down again. And my mom, who has no problem mothering anyone's child, she grabbed the Twix bar from the kid and got on his face and said, "You don't teach your child that stealing is okay." And that woman was like, "How dare you tell me how to raise my child?" And my mom got really close to the woman and said, let's you are the woman in the line at Pay and Save. How dare you raise a child? And that lady just went, and so if you're going to reward them for committing a crime, they just stole a Twix bar, and you went, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I'll pay for it." And so you paid for it, and then you gave them the Twix bar back again. There was no lesson learned there. Yes, you should pay for something when you steal it, but you don't reward the person who stole it. If someone's illegally shorting your company, or even legitimately shorting your company, they're trying to destroy your company. They're saying your company is garbage and shouldn't exist. And you just allowed them to not only make a bunch of money off of the short they did, but to continue to do it later. You just rewarded those little thieves, those little Twix bar stealing 2-year-olds, and they're not going to learn any lesson on that. They're going to be like, well, that was easy. Well, let's do it again, right? Because if their mistake makes them money, they're going to repeat that mistake over and over and over and over again. So, that's where we are. Hain Train, should we do a donation for Rosa? She's not asked for it specifically yet. You can send her money via Venmo. Her Venmo is Rosa to Will. Just Rosa, one word, Rosa to Will. And so if you want to send her things there, when I get my YouTube check, I'm going to send her the money you guys sent me when she was on our show. And if she needs it, she'll probably set something up, a legal defense fund or something. But she also is selling paintings of her cat Sashimi on eBay, I believe. So look for those. If I have a link, I'll post it on my YouTube or my Twitter. I'll post it on YouTube also. I'll ask her if there's a link for those. So you can buy paintings of her kitty cat. She loves that cat so much. That cat is her entire world. He seems like a funny little dude also. So, I'd look for that. But you know, if it progresses further beyond just her injunctive relief and becomes a long, protracted legal battle, it's going to get expensive. Not only be expensive in that she'll have to like show up in person to Tallahassee. You know, you're looking at getting hotel or motel rooms, paying for expert witnesses, trying to process discovery. These things get really expensive, and she will need some sort of backing. So if it comes to that, I'm sure we could definitely organize something to help her out. There's 64,000 people who, if all of us send a few dollars, could easily pay for the litigation, or at least a good chunk of it, to the point where FINRA goes, oh crap, these people have this person has essentially bottomless pockets from the backers that are fighting for this. This is gonna hurt. So yeah, when it comes down to it, we'll get it done. I don't know if there'll be a way via YouTube to do it, because it has to be a registered nonprofit for us to do like donations specifically via YouTube. So right now, if you just feel like sending her a few bucks, Venmo is a great way to do it. And she won't be like, oh my god, don't send me money. She'll totally appreciate it, because she does have like 12 clients of her own that she has to constantly be working for all day, and then she gets home and she's working till 2-3 in the morning on this own case of herself. It's exhausting. It is really, really, really hard to like keep your mental space going for something like this, and it's very stressful. I don't bemoan the fact that she's under some pressure, and she's a total type A personality, so she wants to just nail it 100%. She wants to be better than anyone that she's against. She wants to know more and do a better job. So she will definitely run herself ragged on this, and knowing that we have her back, I think is a lot right now for her. Crazy Diamond. Why do you think the FINRA conduits advocates for retail aren't doing anything to resolve this? And as nextbridge can't do a deal without resolution, when do they get involved? P.S. Buy a cat bed. He's got some cat beds. Thing about Chupa Batman. Well, first, before I get the rest of it, thing about Chupa Batman is that Chupa Batman, he has timeshares, and he likes to enjoy those timeshares about a month at a time. So right now, he's enjoying the fact that he's got this bed here, and he'll spend like the next month just spending all his time on this bed. And when he's done on that bed, he's going to go to this towel that sits on the countertop in the bathroom. He's going to spend a month sleeping on that towel. And when that's done, he's going to spend a month on the backpack that sits in my chair in my room, He's going to cozy up on that backpack for another month. And when that month's over, he'll go to my roommate's room and be at the foot of his bed for an entire month straight. So this cat seems to he's got his little timeshares all over the house, and he has to make sure he visits all of them throughout the year. And right now, he's really enjoying the fact that he's got this little timeshare. And I think he knows it bugs the heck out of the dog, and he's kind of he's just loving that right now. Okay, anyway, back to the meat of your question. Well, I think FINRA, conduit advocates for retail, aren't doing anything to resolve this. And as NextBridge can't do a deal without resolution, when do they get involved? Okay, I think NextBridge is involved. They're involved on a quieter plane than the rest of us. So they're probably talking to their lawyers. They're probably talking to regulators. They probably filed documents with SEC and others saying, hey, shady shit's going on. But I don't know if they can publicly talk about what's going on. Usually there's a gag order when they do stuff like that. Same thing with FINRA. If FINRA could do something, they would have done something before. Right? Or maybe I shouldn't say they can do something, but if they were willing to do something, they would have done it before. They never would have entered into this land of the U3 halt if they ever intended to do the right thing. That makes sense? And right now, they're like, oh, crap. They are wishing they had never done what they did because this is becoming the biggest headache they may have ever had as a regulatory body. We're awful. And I say that in a good way. Like, it sucks to have to be on the other end of the phone with you guys. Absolutely. Just terrible. Just sucky. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. You know, have you seen some of the TikToks from these folks? And they're like, I work as a phone rep at a brokerage, and I have never had to deal with something like this before. Even when GME and AMC were kicking off, we never had this many phone calls. We have never dealt with anything on the volume of this and on the anger of this at any level before. We are really cruel, and it is beautiful. So I want to pat you on the back for your ability to just be absolute dicks and be relentless and to do all the things that are needed to draw attention to this and to get that info out there and make everyone aware of what's going on. So good job. Good job at being relentless assholes. John Doe. HW hypothetical. 6 months ago, MMTLP investors registered 100% with transfer agent. What does the FINRA broker defense claim in the suit today? So you're saying that 6 months ago, 165 million shares got registered with AST, and and what would there be their defense? My thought is they'll be doing what they do now, which is ignore any mention of short shares. Right, Monkey? Just like how you're trying to ignore doing your job of getting the cat off the bed. Yes, it's your job. It's your bed. You can go claim it anytime you want, but you're just too polite. So, I think they do exactly what is happening now, which is when Rosa mentions short positions, they go, la, 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 la. I don't see short positions. I'm not going to mention it at all. I'm not going to talk about it. And that's where. It is really raining hard out there, isn't it, Monkey? It's raining really hard. Monkey, just get up there. Come on, just get up there. Come on. There you go. Come on. Do it. Come on. Come on. Don't fight me. Get up there. Come on. Up there. There. There you go. Yeah. There you go. See? See, it's not that bad. Now the cat's going to play with your little dangly dangle thing. Okay. Where was I? Okay. Oh, you wuss. You just give up so easily. It's just a little tiny cat. You know what he's going to do? He's going to readjust himself. He's even more comfortable now. Stephen, oh, we haven't had coordinates in a while. Stephen Lewis, Houston, check out these coordinates. Zoom in. Also, did you catch Goofball's MMTLP video? Sounded like a few whales are having a space call. Possible hopium. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I've tried the space call thing. I just can't. It is so boring, and nothing is ever talked about. And I don't have the time to spend like 20 hours till something interesting comes on. So, if someone could just spend 20 hours on a space call for me and just let me know what happens, that'd be great. I don't know how you guys spend that much time on space calls. I honestly don't. I just want to like consume my own heart when I go on those things for any long period of time. I got popped on the other day when Rosa was speaking, and that was interesting. But then a bunch of people started speaking who I don't think know their ass from a hole in the ground. And like, I'm not going to spend another hour listening to these guys bloviate. So, more power to you folks that can do that for those long periods of time. Google Earth. Shaboom. All right, there's the planet. We're going somewhere. We're told to zoom in. I'm going to Japan. Going to, looks like a little island in Japan. We're going to a harbor. We're a little harbor and a little island in Japan. We're zooming in. We got what looks like a barge with a crane on it. Maybe it's maybe a dredging unit of some kind. So I'm zooming in. I'm now in. I have zoomed in on this harbor. Quite the hill on the outside of the harbor. Got this single van, looks like it's doing Indy 500 loops here. What am I looking at? Can I do a person on the ground thing? I grab the little dude. Can I zoom out a little bit? Exit ground level view. What if I grab my little dude? There's spots down here. There's a spot. Let's put our little dude here. Okay. That's probably saying it's harbor, blah, blah, blah. It's when it's open. Got a truck. No barge. Got a big old fishing boat. Got a couple small fishing boats. And I don't know why I'm here, Steven. But, it's a lovely harbor on a little island off of the Japanese coast. I feel like Paratarian sent this one to me. Okay, well, there we go. G-Font, not sure if you had a chance to watch the 1-minute video about a reverse roleplay spiking to a safe collateral shortage with less acceptable safe collateral and expanded leverage, something will break. Yeah, you sent that video to me. It was a question that a congressman was asking of Powell. Bernanke? Powell. And saying, hey, so you guys are not only doing reverse repo, like collecting this cash from the banks every night, but you're also buying up assets, which could be considered quantitative easing. Why are you doing both? And the Fed was like, oh, blah, 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 interest rates, blah, 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 and didn't really seem to touch to the nitty gritty of it, which is how can you be doing quantitative tightening and quantitative easing at the same time? Like, pick one. One's going to have to give at some point. And if you do one over the other, interest rates will spike, inflation will go down, people will lose their jobs. If you do the other one, inflation will go like crazy, money will be worthless, and the entire economy collapses again. But then you don't have the tools you need to climb back out of it. So it seems like they're trying to play both sides. That's what I gathered from that. Stephen Lewis, thirdly, did you watch the Nat Geo missions to the moon? I did not. I've not watched that one yet. I heard it's good. It's basically just straight footage of the programs and stuff. I've not seen it yet. I've not had a chance to do that. Can you use dark energy to get me my money from MMTLP? Coffee, donuts, and Homer. If they can do this MMTLP, they can do it to any stock. Bingo. When we were saying this was a litmus test, we were saying that for a reason. Because all eyes were on this stock and the fact that they had to close. And if they can get away with it on this one, they can get away with it on any of them. So, there we are. Tampa Bay Buckeye. Houston, how does dark energy affect gravity around black holes? It doesn't. So, what I did in my paper, and let's see if we can, and I try not to like have like calculus and differentials. There we go. We go there. We turn off Google. Oh, nope. Wrong thing. I want to just. There we go. Okay. So this is from the University of Hawaii Academic Journal, talking about how that stuff happens. So what I basically did was about 6 billion years ago is when we noticed when dark energy took over. And this is because I've described this before. Like, take a baseball, you throw it up in the air. There comes a point where the ball goes up, it stops from the pull of gravity, and starts accelerating back down again. One of the models of the universe was the Big Bang goes boom, everything expands outwards, slows down, stops, and then falls back in on the center of gravity again. That was called the Big Crunch. And so what we saw was the universe went boom, everything expanded outwards, and then started slowing down and kind of coasting a bit, slowing down. Then there became a point about 6 billion years ago where it was no longer slowing down, it started speeding up and going faster and faster and faster. That's when dark energy took over. So what I did was I basically created a mathematical model where I took two galaxy clusters. And these are the largest objects that had been gravitationally bound, and about 6 billion years ago they became unbound from dark energy. These galaxy clusters, like, you know, Milky Way and Andromeda form a little galaxy cluster. There's like the Virgo cluster and other clusters of galaxies all over the place. And so right now you've got these galaxies that kind of orbit each other, and they are now separating from the others that orbit each other. So these galaxy clusters can be thought of as like the largest gravitationally bound objects in the universe. So I took two average galaxy clusters and put them at average distance from each other, which is about 30 million light years, 10 megaparsecs. And I calculated the strength of gravity between the two of them. And I assumed that at that moment, the strength of gravity between the two galaxy clusters and the strength of dark energy between the two of them equaled the same. And that gave me a constant for the power of dark energy. Because after that, when they drifted apart, gravity got so weak that dark energy got stronger, started pushing them further apart faster. So that was in my assumption, that was the moment that gravity equaled dark energy. And as you get further and further away from an object, gravity gets weaker. Gravity works as a 1 over r squared law, meaning whatever your radius is, you square it, and that's how much weaker that power has gotten. So if my glass of water is 1 meter from me, the power of the gravitational pull between me and the water is 1 over 1 squared. But if it's 2 meters from me, it's 1 over 2 squared. So it's 1/4 as powerful as it was when it was 1 meter from me. So the strength of gravity falls off very quickly over great distances. And the constant for gravity is pretty small. It's 10 to the negative 22. Tiny little thing. So you need a lot of mass to make gravity worthwhile. So anyway, I set up this mathematical model. I set the constants for it, and then I calculated where those galaxy clusters are today. So they were 10 million or 30 million light years apart then. Now they're, I can't remember what the number was, 40 something million apart today, 6 billion years later. And I calculated the strength of gravity between them. And I calculated with the constant I created for dark energy, the strength of dark energy. And what I got was 2.96 to 1. Basically, that dark energy is almost 3 times more powerful than gravity, which is exactly what we find when we're calculating it via other methods. So I'm like, okay, this works out pretty well. And there's a couple of theories about how much energy is created when these two objects, I'm getting ahead of myself. When matter and antimatter appear in the universe, there's some estimations as to how much energy they release and how much that is. And it's estimated to be about 10 to the negative 80th joules per cubic meter. Now, I don't know what 10 to the negative 80th is. 10 to the negative 80th is, let me just show you. Oops, I mean do that. I want to do that. Calculator, there we go. Our old friend calculator. Okay, so it would be 0.0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. It won't even let me do it. I can't even do it. I only get to 10 to the negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. I can go like 10 to the negative 16th on this thing. I don't think it has a scientific calculator button here. Oh, standard scientific. Here we go. All right. So I want to do 10 to the negative 80th. So this guy. Super duper tiny. We're like approaching a negative googolplex. That's how tiny it is. But if it's a constant, and it's a constant for every cubic meter of space in an entire section of space that is 30 million light years across, that is a horrendous amount of volume. There's a lot of cubic meters inside of that. So you can then calculate that constant, that 10 to the negative 80th, across the entire thing, and it gets us to this 3 to 1 that we have in in my paper. So my paper, like, normally these theses are like 60 pages long, and I refused. I was like, no, I can do it in just a couple of pages. And my advisor was like, you better make it like 60 pages long. I said, no, I'm not. I'll make it like 6 pages, and it's going to be done. You know, Watson and Crick won the Nobel Prize for a 1.5-page paper on the discovery of DNA. I don't need to go 60 pages into this thing to describe this little 3 to 1 ratio. And he was like, I'm not going to let you graduate if you don't make it 60 pages. I handed this thing to him. He went, holy shit, and they graduated me. So I felt pretty good about that. Yeah. This is short, just a couple of mathematical formulas showing that, you know, we calculate this constant, have it align with the measurable observations we have, and that constant happens to coincide exactly with matter, antimatter appearance and destruction across the universe. So there you go. Okay. Where was I? This is all asking about gravity around black hole. So a black hole is a super duper concentrated gravitational hole, and there's not enough space around it to have any dark energy even be noticeable because of that 10 to the negative 80th constant. It's just so tiny that, you know, the vacuum of space really won't make a difference on that scale. John Doe, pretty amazing that brokers took everybody's money, then removed the ticker symbol. This is like FTX type business. Are we going to get a lawyer? I mean, eventually we'll probably have to do, if the Florida court doesn't go our way, there probably will be class actions. Right now it's kind of a wait and see to see what the Florida court does, because I think it's a better option to try to stop them in the middle of their crime than to try to get reparations after the fact. Make sense? Because they'll draw it out for 15, 16 years and they will refuse to settle. There'll be no cash. You can't sue for monetary damages, so you won't be able to get any cash out of it, but it'll be expensive as hell. And by then, you know, NextBridge may have sold off. There may be, like, the legacy involved might be so antiquated and such a pain in the ass that no one has the stomach to do any of it. So, looking for the immediacy of an injunctive relief is the smart call. That's what Rose is doing, and more power to her, man. But yeah, it's not any different than FTX. FTX sold Bitcoin that doesn't exist. That's fraud. These guys sold us shares in MMTLP that don't exist. That's fraud. But it happens to be fraud that has a nice little loophole to it and a bunch of regulators who don't do anything about it. So it's fraud that's gotten the nod. Like, hey, I'm going to commit fraud. And the SEC goes, all right. that's where we are. They said it's okay. They can throw that curveball all day long, and we swing and miss it. Legacy Den Productions, are these NextBridge broker share account surveys safe to put all our information in? I want to help the case, but worried about putting in my private info. I did the one that was on the NextBridge page. I didn't do the other one that some random person on Twitter had done. I mean, they could be on the up and up. I don't know. I just figured one survey is enough. But I mean, if the information is like just my email address, who gives a shit? But if it's like where I live, my broker ID number, like, I'm not gonna do those things. All right. Artemis, you caught a live Houston in the wild. Happens from time to time. My show times are not standard, so I'm always amazed. Like, no matter what time I do a show, whether it's midnight my time, whether it's noon, there's still like 500 of you who will just sit there and watch it, and I love it. That's fantastic. Sometimes the Europeans can get involved, sometimes the Australians, sometimes the Japanese, sometimes it's a bunch of Americans. I love that I can do these shows at different times and have whole entire different groups of people show up. Dennis Sullivan, Ron Jeremy's lawyers claim he's demented. He effed his brains out. Well, I mean, Ron Jeremy, if he doesn't go to prison for 300 and something years, he's going to be spending the rest of his life in an institution, at least having to pretend like he's crazy that whole time. If you guys don't know, speaking of the Big Bang, Ron Jeremy's on trial. If you guys don't know about what happened to Ron Jeremy, is that basically he not only was he a porn star for a long time, but apparently he sexually assaulted like hundreds of women in that process, which, like, you have the option of having sex with lots and lots of women as a career, right? It's your job. Why do you feel the need to then bring some crime into this? I don't understand people's brains, man. I don't. Be stronger than your lizard brain. That's all I ask of you. Be stronger than your lizard brain. That is, just please be stronger than that. Houston, Honda Game asked, do you think Mars has pyramids? No. I think got some rocks that look kind of like it. Sincere 206, what are the chances FINRA can actually reinstate those 2 days and the brokers can open them to trading with all the new QSIP numbers? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You get an order from a judge. It says, all right, 5 days from now, you are going to open up trading. FINRA, you notify all the brokers. FINRA has to put out one on their daily list and notification to anyone who's a member saying, all right, these NextBridge QSIPs, we're going to have to make them all the same number. So you can go to your computer, you type that in, they'll be all the same. And then we open up trading for 2 days, and all of you brokers must close every short position you have on record in your brokerage in those 2 days. Do it. And then they do it. They may go, it's so hard. It isn't. You literally just type in your computer, punch in the number, done. Set a time, notify all those hedge funds and everyone else who's short. You guys are boned. We're going to take all your money. We're going to close these positions. That's it. Done. And they'll pretend like it's hard. They'll be like, it's so hard. It isn't. It isn't hard at all. Do you have a computer terminal? Yes. Can you access the ticker? I can. Can you change the QSIP number? That I can do. Then there you go. Ta-da! You have just done exactly what the court asked you to do. But they're going to pretend like it's really hard. It's not. It's not like they have to, like, you know, push around a bunch of granite rocks and stack them on top of each other in a certain order. And, you know, carve open some virgins for sacrifice. And they literally punch in the ticker, change the QSIP, and they're done. That's it. Turn the trading on for 2 days, turn it off. Ta-da! They can do it just fine. Okay. Scrolling through. Crazy Diamond, hey, do you think there's a lot of confusion on MMTLP, even with FINRA and advisors, and assuming NextBridge can't do any deals till this resolved? When will they start getting involved? Oh, wait, didn't I already answer that one? Someone else, I think that came up as a super chat. We already did that one. Okay, we're moving on. Barry M, I deal with iTrade in Canada and still having a hard time getting MMTLP answers. In your opinion, would you feel safe holding a large investment in the stock the way things are looking? I mean, what else can you do? You can't trade it. You can't sell it. It's all you can do. It's like saying, you know, you're stuck with it. I know I just had a baby, but in your opinion, is it safe keeping this baby around? Like, you're stuck with it, man. That's your baby. Whether you want it or not at this point, you got it. So what we're trying to do is trying to figure out if there's any legal means by which we can actually do something about our investment that we paid for. Houston, you mean we wouldn't all be a society of hulks with all that radiation? Wouldn't being bombarded with radiation constantly just be the fantastic way? Oh, there it is. Let's fight. She got fed up. There we go. Harumph. And proven victorious is the monkey butt. Coming for protection is the cat. You win. Good job. You won. Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of yourself? Are you a happy dog who's very proud now? Huh? All right. She got her bed back. She's stoked. And boom. There's a satisfied, victorious dog right there. So happy she got her bed back. Now the cat is going to make up for it by standing exactly in front of the chat so that I can't read what you guys are writing me. It's a good spot, kitty. Just scratch yourself. Make sure that you vibrate the entire table while you do it so the camera bounces up and down. Good job. Okay. Honda Game, do you think Nelson Mandela died in prison or became president of South Africa? He became president of South Africa and was president for quite some time and passed away only a few years ago. Okay. People are trying to go for the Mandela effect on this one. Okay. Cat, I cannot see a damned thing. Where are you? We'll get... Move your head. Move it. Move your head. There you go. Nope, move your head again. Don't move it right back after I tell you to move it. Okay. Oh. Hain Train. TDA was saying NextBridge keeps changing the ticker for it. That doesn't make sense to me. Can you make sense to that? TD Ameritrade is like, I think has lied so often on this they can't keep any of it straight. And they don't have somebody who's really good at gaslighting to like really make us go, what? That's weird. I don't remember it being that way. Maybe I was wrong. No, NextBridge isn't doing a damn thing. NextBridge, all they did was they took the 165 million shares and they gave it to AST, and then AST gave out whatever shares to their members, and then gave the rest to the DTC, and the DTC said, brokers get this. That's all they've done. NextBridge hasn't done a damn thing after that with the ticker. So TD is full of crap. It could just be that there's some, call center room with a bunch of like drooling knuckle draggers who really just could not. They're just making things up as they go along. They're like, whatever. So always ask for a recording and a transcript when you talk to somebody at one of these brokerages. They have to provide a transcript to be ADA compliant, and so ask for a recording, ask for a transcript, so you can see what weirdness they're telling you, and they're going to try and not be liable for any of that weirdness, but they will be. John DeAngelis, has anyone discussed that the shorts have to cover half share of Acme parent company as well? We talked about that weeks ago. They can still cover for that position because that stock is still trading. But for NextBridge, there's no way for them to cover any of this. Yeah. John Doe, it's organized crime people are against. Yeah. This is RICO territory. This is racketeering. This is collusion. This is criminal conspiracy. We've had rumblings for years that organized crime is involved in all of these institutions, and the evidence shows that if they are plotting and planning to sell stocks that don't exist and have no intention of ever closing or covering or doing anything they need to do on those things, and they've made a way they never have to realize any of the liability they've taken on, that is, they've organized a crime. That is organized crime right there. And we as a nation need to not only fight this, but put the changes into the system to make it so they can't do it again. We cannot have an economy dependent upon the destruction of American companies. That's not a way to run your economy. What's the best way to make money? Destroy everything. That'll be great for everybody. No, we need to have a legit market designed to grow the economy as a whole, and help society progress and grow with it. So, Lost Island, I forgot to do a timestamp. It was at 5:30 when Monkey Butt finally took her 90 minutes to finally come up with her plot and plan to take over the seat. You got it though, didn't you? Yeah, you got it. Yes, you fuzzy little brain dog. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah. Dean Phipps, can AMC give retail apes a 1 penny AMC gift card for dividend and make hedge funds cover that for each AMC share? Yeah. They can do whatever they want. I would hope it would be larger than that, because 1 penny, let's say they're at $4 billion. That's $40 million. They can cover $40 million. You want to be able to make something that is just monumental and almost impossible to cover, like a $25 gift card. Right, that gets 2 people into a movie. $25 across 4 billion shorts. Then you're looking at $100 billion that they've got to come up with. That's $100 billion they would have to pay to AMC to get. So AMC can not only just pay off all their debt, they can operate forever on that. So, and all it cost them was 2 free movies to shareholders per share. which means shareholders will never have to pay for a movie again. They're fine. I mean, if you got 1,000 shares, when are you going to see 2,000 movies? Right? Stephanie L. What do you think about David Lauer's take on the settlement dates? Said that shorts couldn't close after the 8th. Dave Lauer and I have been DMing each other back and forth. Apparently he had a phone call with Rosa yesterday, and Rosa's like, I changed his mind. So I've not heard from him since yesterday morning. We're having a lovely debate. I love my debates. But Dave was telling me, he was like, the shorts are screwed because the company went private. And I was like, how are they screwed if they aren't forced to close their positions? And he had said something to the effect of, because I was talking about how we can't get our 1-for-1 because there's too many fake shares out there. And he's like, well, the shorts just have to provide a share. And I said, how? How are they going to provide a share if there's no market for them to go and get the legit share to provide it? If they borrowed 1 million shares from someone and sold them, right? The short's not receiving shares because they don't have a position. So they aren't receiving 1 million shares from nextbridge to give to whoever they borrowed from, right? Or if they sold naked, if they sold 1 million shares naked and their poor broker had to reach into the accounts of their customers and pull out a real share and put in synthetic to make that clearing happen, right? So the money can transfer. Then the short didn't get any real shares to replace all the accounts of their broker's customers for all the shares that they inadvertently borrowed. So there's no way for them to provide the shares that they need. So without their having a market, there's no way to actually close positions. They can't just magically be like, well, I reached in my pocket, pulled out a real share, and I made good on my deal. They have to buy it from someone. If you don't have a market, they can't buy it from someone. And then I pointed out, I was like, okay, if the concern was for FINRA that any trades made on the 9th of December and the 12th of December wouldn't clear in time for when distribution happened on the 14th, then why has distribution been such a mess for over a month? Right? It's been a month. It's been more than a month since they issued that U3 order, and distribution has not gone well because there's all those synthetics. So if their concern was settlement, then why didn't their order say, okay, trading ends on the 12th. The 14th is going to be the date of record, and the 16th will be when nextbridge distributes, if that was their concern. But instead, they went, oh my God, and they just stopped trading. And then they left this giant mess in their wake. They could have very easily said, nextbridge, we're going to wait 2 days. We'll stop trading on the 12th. Date of record will be the 14th after the settlement, and then you can issue on the 16th. You know what nextbridge would have done? Okay. That's what they would have done. They was going, cool. Fine with us. But FINRA instead went, what they really did was they went, oh my God, no one has enough money to close these positions. Stop trading. And that's it. So, you can argue all you want. The whole settlement will be a nightmare. There's a reason why the SEC, nextbridge, and the original corporate action from FINRA all said any sales made after the 12th, after the 9th, would have been the responsibility of the seller to settle. Which the brokerages were doing broker-to-broker settlement anyway, because that's how the stupid stock started trading. It wasn't going through a clearinghouse. It was being settled by the brokers, broker to broker. So they could easily have settled all those by close on the 14th and gotten everybody whatever nextbridge share they needed. So I don't buy at all this whole how would we settle? Like you always do, dipshit. Like you always do. You just make it happen. That's what you do. As it stands now, no one actually has any real shares because there's too many people claiming ownership of shares. They need to whittle that down, and the only way to whittle that down is through forced closure with an open market. John Doe, brokers sit in the board DTCC. Yes, they do. I mean, they're the foxes running the hen house. That's what it is. which is the big problem with these self-regulatory organizations, is the government's like, oh, it'll be way too expensive to regulate these things, so we're going to have these nonprofits do it, who are run by the guys that are committing the crimes. That's the best way we can regulate the markets, and we'll kind of oversee them a little bit with the SEC. The argument coming from FINRA is that anything we do is in the purview of us regulating the market, therefore you can't hold us responsible for it. But if what you're doing is to enable crime, how are you supposed to be held accountable for you being a part of that crime? Right? There are things they do that are outside the purview of regulation, and it's them putting their thumb on the scale. And that is not the job of a regulator. If they're doing something outside of regulation, but calling it regulation, then they should be able to get sued for that. And that I think is one of the arguments that Rosa will be making, is that under the purview of their charter from Congress is to regulate the markets, not to put their thumb on the scale and make in someone else's favor. Right, Kat? Right? You just love sitting there all tall and proud, right in the way of everything. Okay. 5:41. I'm exactly an hour behind. Using committing fraud via YouTube video titles. Oops. Cat, get 1 sec. The cat's got to stretch and get out of the way. You're gonna come here. Come on, get out of the way of this stupid. Don't open. Don't do that. You're gonna shut off the entire stream. Oh my gosh, cat. Ah, no stepping on the F keys or the Windows buttons, buddy. Just don't do that. I don't know what type of, you hit Alt F4 and everything just starts closing, and then it's a nightmare. Yeah. Ugh. Ugh. Here, how about this, kitty? Come here. I know. Whatever you want to do, it's not gonna. Oh, just go up here. Go up there. Go up there. We go. Just go up there. Live up there. There you go. That's where your people go. High places. They love it. You can dominate from up there, right? So you can show everyone your beehole. Look at that. Now it looks like I have a tail on my head. Yep. Enjoy it. That's where you go. Just lay down. Okay. Are you doing your asthma wheezing behind my head right now? Was it there was it silver whatever, just had a giant $8 billion run on their crypto bank. Duh. I'm about to go to the thing. Who sent it to me? It was Iggy. Iggy usually sends me this stuff. Okay. Where are we? Oh, he gets a lot of photo screenshots there, bud. Silvergate. Silvergate hit with $8 billion in crypto withdrawals. This was announced about 2 hours ago. So, this giant run on another crypto bank going on. The runs on the banks, on the crypto platforms, will be absolutely insane. What will make things really weird is if they start cashing out the tether when they do these runs. They start cashing out tether into cash, they'll run out of cash real quick, and that will collapse everything across the crypto market. So that's what we're looking at. Chicken Lover Houston, I'm so worried about AMC. I mean, Adam Aaron's doing it wrong. There's a lot of people who have averages that are quite high at the moment that if you know the price of stock got back up to $30, yeah, they'd be doing all right. Because for a year it sat between what 30 and 50 before it came collapsing back down again. It got up to 20 something back in August, but right now, in combination with Ape, it's a $5 stock. And so when they reverse split, it'll go to $5, not to 350. Like it would get a lot of people out of this thing. And I don't see Adam Aaron getting the stock price up to $100, $200 in there after this reverse split. I see him just dumping shares to hedge funds, and then the market just getting flooded with them, and the price going right back down to $5. I have zero faith in Adam Aaron at this point. None. Zip, zero, nada, zilch. No faith. What are you doing, Kat? What do you think you're doing? You gonna get in my way? Oh. Yeah, so you can hang out here. On this side's cool. As long as you don't mess. Nope. You stay right here. Because if you're going to get in the way of... Oh, fine. You can go on that side too. You can go over there. That's fine. There you go. Fall asleep on that baseball jersey right there. But I don't... I'm over Adam Aaron. He just doesn't... He will not do a single thing that actually helps us. He'll do things that he'll like, this will help, and then nothing happens. I don't need, to go get a little gold NFT of a spinning AMC. I would rather see a dividend handed out in that state. But you can't get the dividend because you can't figure out how to get rid of your debt. And every option you do to try to get rid of debt results in more shorting of your stock because you give power to all these short hedge funds. And just isn't doing it right. You got to sell at market to your investors. And it would have been taken care of by now. Because you won't do that, the investors wouldn't give you the opportunity to sell more shares. And because you lost their trust. So our hope of being able to vote in a new board is rapidly disappearing because the short hedge funds are going to have overwhelming voting rights after a reverse split. And that'll be that. Lily's Grandma Abel. I've heard of other CEOs speaking out against shorts. Why isn't George P? He has. He's one of the few guys who have spoken out against them. It's just right now there might be legal action pending, and he won't be able to talk about it if there's legal action pending. Big Vic, if Rose's lawsuit succeeds and during discovery it is confirmed that counterfeit shares were used, do you think NextBridge will sue FINRA? I would guess that NextBridge will sue everybody because why not? Like if it's discovered that all these counterfeit shares are out there, sue the brokers who allowed it, who enabled it, sue the regulators who enabled it, and sue the short hedge funds who legally did it. They broke the law by selling naked and generating FTDs. They're responsible for the crime, and the regulators are responsible for enabling that crime. So, sue them all. Get settlements out of all of them, and use that to drill some new wells. Raven Houston, tell your crowd about dummy QSIPs. I don't know enough about dummy QSIPs to tell them there, Raven. I know that some of the QSIPs seem to appear to be similar to QSIPs of like Hong Kong stocks and stuff. So, yeah. Josh Pal Tennessee, happy birthday. Hey, everyone. Apparently, Acme, a parent company, won the CES award last week. What is it and what does it mean? Yeah, they won like best display or something. So Metamaterials, I'll talk about them. But anyways, that the parent company at CES, Consumer Electronics Show, won best display out of everybody. I'm not sure if it was. My brother was like, I don't know. I thought it was okay display. I don't know if it was the best, but whether there was some nefarious voting going on or something, I don't know. But yeah, they won best display at CES, which is that's something. Little feather for your cap. What is it? What does it mean? It means they had the best display at the Consumer Electronics Show, and so they basically got a high five from the crowd for doing that thing. I should go to CES. I should have gone this time around. Monkey Butt, make a note. I'm gonna go to CES next year. Okay. All right. We'll do shows from there. Walk around Vegas, and I don't know. Let's do a show from the floor or something. Herman Hertner, called TD representative, said he was familiar with MMTLP and said the whole process was taking so long because NextBridge refused to hand over shares. I said, so you're totally unfamiliar with it. Yeah, the things these dudes are saying, they have no idea what's going on, and they're just pulling anything out of their ass they can to get you to shut up and go away. So that's where these are. Chance Wayne, Houston, will there ever be a way to determine whether any of our MMTLP shares are original, non-shorted counterfeit shares, and therefore directly register able to the 165 million NextBridge? The only way I can think, and someone suggested this, is if NextBridge sent out a 1 cent dividend, right? It would cost them $1.6 million to do, $1.65 million to do, but they issue a 1 cent dividend. And when you get your statement will either say dividend payment or will say payment in lieu. And if it's payment in lieu, you got the fake stuff in your account. And that's the only way I could think of immediately knowing if you got the fake or real in your account. So that's without the brokers actually coming out and saying it, or and at this point, you can never get them to admit to anything. There's that one broker at Fidelity was like, yeah, you got fakes in your account. So does everybody. That was a few weeks ago. Swamps. Acme is a cool company. They make giant roller skates, test rockets, design road runners. Are there any TED Talks or fun, informative videos on the science that makes this tech possible? Well, do a Google search there, Swamps, to find out the chief engineers of the rocket skates. Didn't someone put like jet engines on a pair of roller skates for a Jackass or something? I think so. I can imagine, like, maybe if you kept your center of gravity really low, you could fire right along. But I just imagine, like, you put the rockets on your roller skates, just the acceleration alone, like, you're so top heavy that you just go wonk, and you just do a gainer instantly while your feet are just like flipping around you. And trying to turn. Oh my God, trying to turn would be just incredible. And like, let's say you light the rocket. How do you stop? Like, you coast, go for a while with just incredible acceleration, and but the rocket's still going. Like, I wanted to stop over there, but the solid fuel is still burning. I guess I'm just gonna blow right past it and keep going, hope I don't hit anything. And then Wile E. Coyote just always gets in trouble as a result of the physics he's got to deal with on a daily basis. A Wile E. Coyote TED Talk will be a brilliant Looney Tunes cartoon. That would be amazing. If Discovery Channel hadn't destroyed the Looney Tunes brand with their purchase of HBO and Time Warner, I would suggest someone who has the Looney Tunes animation department do a Wile E. Coyote science TED Talk. It would be brilliant. William Lobach, Houston. The feds confiscated $450 million in Robinhood shares from SBF STX. I'm assuming to make restitution. If so, they have to sell it all, so it puts on Robinhood. That's a good point. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. I'm not sure when they would sell it, or you might have to wait for a court order as to when to sell it. But that's not such a bad point right there. Okay, I'm at 5:56 p.m. I do have to go do dinner with my mom. I promised her that. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. I'm going to find a couple to do the last few minutes of, and then Monkey Butt and I are going to get in the truck and motor away. Bum, bum, bum. XYZ, do you know if MMAT or NextBridge have hired Share Intel? Someone mentioned that they may have. I guess Wes Christian reached out. I know Wes Christian sent Adam Aaron a letter saying, you really need to do this. You need to get this Share Intel hired and figure out about these shares, or else you're going to be in trouble. That's kind of a threatening letter from Wes Christian, it looked like. But I think Wes Christian basically was like saying, hey, we know you're in bed with these shorts, so you better do the right thing before, trouble happens. That's the way I interpret that letter. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read it yet, but it seemed quite stern and very, you got one opportunity to fix this there, Adam Aaron. But I know John Berta's aware of it. I know he and Wes Christian have talked. I mean, the membership is like 60 grand. That's chump change to any company at this point, especially to figure out where all their shares are. Seems like a good idea to me. Oh, and there's Crazy Diamond. Have you seen that Wes Christian issued a letter to Adam Aaron about taking legal action on the 20th? Yeah. It seemed quite like do this or your bone type letter to me. Sorry, I'm looking for one good one here right at the end. Godfrey Hogan. There's speculation that the weak legal response from FINRA is a deliberate stance, and it indicates that MMTLP will be released for trading within 30 days of the halt. The halt. It's already been 30 days of the halt. So we're past 30 days of the halt. The halt was still on the books through last week, and then all of a sudden vanished from the books. So there's no more U3 code, but that's because MMTLP doesn't exist anymore. It's all nextbridge. So, not sure at all if that speculation is going to play out at all. I can't wait to read what Rosa writes. Video Brand Houston, talk about your shirt. It's new to me. This is new to everybody. It's just a generic Hawaiian shirt. Actually, I have no idea where I got this shirt, who I got this shirt from. It might have been one of the ones when I worked in a bar back in the day and I started wearing a different shirt every day of the year. People just give me shirts. And there were several instances where I left my house in the morning and hanging from the door handle be like a grocery bag with 10 shirts in it. This might have been one of those. I do like the color. I think the color is rather flattering. It actually fits me, which is rare for a lot of shirts I have. But that might be the entire story of that right there. Okay. Monkey butt. It's time. Kitty cat. It's time. I know, kitty cat. It's time. It's dark outside, which means it's after dark technically. So you're going to get an after dark outro. And it is kind of velvety. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. I'm not sure exactly what time. It might be after dark on Wednesday. There's a lot of things I have to get done during the daytime on Wednesday. But I'll see you then. Thanks for the show. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for saying hello. If we get a filing from Rosa, maybe she'll file something tomorrow or Wednesday. We can bring her on the show. She said she wanted to come back on the show after she filed, so I'd love to have her back. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Monkey butt, do you have anything to say? No? Kitty cat, anything to say? No? You want to stare in the camera? You stare in the camera. Okay, monkey butt's looking in the camera right there. And we're saying toodaloo. Have a good night. Enjoy yourselves. Take care of each other. Pressurized space pen works in